Well, I'm delighted to say here, McLean's TV, we're joined once more by Stevie McDonnell of Armagh fame, and now the Armagh under 21 manager as well. That's a bit of work for you too in the new year, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, and it's a challenge that I'm looking forward to. I always wanted to get back involved in county football, and no better way than getting involved with the youth coming through the county, and being involved with the under 21s is a great stepping stone for me.
And of course now we're here with McLean's TV, but you can't get involved in betting your own team, but away from that, if you're a betting man, would you have a few pound in Armagh on the 21s? Have you plenty of talent, Stevie?
Listen, it's like every other county, there's plenty of talent coming through. It's about how well it's managed, and I've got certainly a hard job ahead of me, to try to manage the talent come through. There is plenty of potential within Armagh, but as I said, can we get the best out of them lads?
Stevie, we're facing into 2014 obviously for the GAA. We've got all the ancillary competitions coming up, the McKenna Cup, and we now have the use in 2014 of the black card. Yeah. I must admit I am not in favour of the black card. I'm okay, like all GAA people, willing to let it go and see how it works, but how many cards do we need to sort out the problem? Surely, the likes people talk about Sean Kavanagh's tackle being a black card. In my opinion, Sean Kavanagh's tackle was a red card.
Yeah, I would agree. But I've been at a couple of FA Cup matches so far where actually the few matches I have been at, there was no black cards dished out, and maybe there was a few incidents where it should have been dished out. So the questions still have to be asked. Do the referees understand the rules? Do they know what warrants a black card or what doesn't warrant a black card? I think it's going to be very difficult for the referees throughout the National League and the McKenna Cup to spot the difference between a black and a yellow and even a red card, in some instances. But I suppose it's going to be trial and error. We have to see how the games develop and how the cards are produced, and I'm not a fan of it. I think there's too many cards in the game at the minute, and the physicality element is coming out of the game year on year, but certainly it will be interesting to see how it reacts over the first few weeks of it.
You're not a fan, I'm not a fan, and yet if you listen to the popular press, we're almost the dinosaurs of the game, because listening to some of the people who proposed this, they thought it as the be all and end all of the modernisation of Gaelic games. I remain to be convinced.
Yeah, no, listen, I don't think the black card is going to improve our game dramatically whatsoever. I think what would improve the game is if they look at the performance levels of referees and even the fitness levels of the referees. There has been some key games decided by a poor decision over the last couple of years, and I'll hold my hands up and say referees have an extremely tough job to do, but I think it's been made a lot harder now because of the fact that the black card rule has come into effect.
Now, I know we're digital, but don't worry folks, we'll not talk about referees because we haven't got enough tape even to talk about referees at this stage. But it's interesting that in the so-called, I'm not going to call them junior competitions, but the warm-up competitions like the McKenna Cup, the top referees now in the O'Byrne Cup are going to be used in those games by all accounts by the GAA, so as they know when to use the black card, and that players will get used to knowing what a black card is.
Yeah, well, listen, what warrants a black card and what doesn't warrant a black card, and the referees are human and they're like the players. We're all getting into these competitions, we're unsure, and it'll be trial and error for the referees as much as it will be for the players, and it's good to see that the so-called top referees in the country will be used for the pre-National League competitions, such as the McKenna Cup and so on. But it will be interesting to see how many cards are dished out in the first weekend.
No, we'll see. Now, National League, I'm just looking at some of the odds here too, and I know you'll be interested in these ones with McLean's. National League Football League Division 2, Donegal 9-4, Down 10-3, Monaghan 6-1, Galway 7-1, Laois 8-1, and finally Armagh 8-1 in Division 2. That'd be worth a bet.
Absolutely, I think Donegal are probably rightly favourites for that division at 9-4, All Ireland champions 2 years ago. But having a look down through the list, Armagh 8-1, there is a good hype about Armagh at the minute, and there is plenty of talent coming through. 8-1, probably in past performances and recent years, maybe is a fair enough odds. But I think maybe looking at Division 2, you have to say Monaghan would be a good bet at 6-1. The current Ulster champions almost beat Tyrone last year in the All-Ireland quarter-final, and a team with a lot of young potential coming through as well, and at 6-1 to be certainly value for the money.
And Stevie, the National League, we talk about it, I remember talking about it for years and doing facts and figures, and when it wasn't maybe the sexy thing to say, but if you did well in the National League, you normally did well in the Championship.
Yeah, well,
it was proven last year, the last year's Division 1 final, Dublin Tyrone, both of them in the last four.
Any coincidence, the teams that have done well in the National League over the last 10-15 years have kicked on and have had a good run in the Championship as well. And Dublin won the All-Ireland last year on the back of winning the National League a few months beforehand as well. And Cork's record as well over the past number of years in the National League has been exceptional, and they've always had an extended run in the Championship. So I think county managers now realise the importance of a National League and trying to get the right blend within the team come Championship time. And certainly the National League's a fantastic competition for trying to find out who your best 15 is, and for blood new players as well.
Interesting. Now, Division 1, just to do the stars, I'll go through them quickly. Dublin 6-5, Mayo 9-2, Kerry 6s along with Cork, Tyrone 7, Kildare 14-1, Derry 20, and Westmeath 100-1.
Yeah, well, Dublin at 6-5 are everyone's favourites. They'll be the favourites for the All-Ireland once again as well, and I certainly think that that's the correct place for them to be. But Cork is 6-1. I think I would maybe extend that a wee bit more, considering the amount of players they've lost and key players as well.
They've lost a stack of players, haven't they?
They've lost a huge bulk of their experienced players, and for any team to do that in one season is going to be a huge hole in any team. And they're the leaders of the Cork team for the last 5, 6, 7 years, and they've been the driving force. So it'll be interesting to see how they react, and it'll be interesting to see how the youngsters coming through can blend into the team, as well. But Kerry at 6-1 are always going to be thereabouts. Mayo at 9-2, I think they're always a decent enough league team, and they'll certainly push Dublin all the way. But Dublin at 6-5 certainly are strong favourites for me in Division 1.
I always like the league. It's always interesting. Not too sure everybody's that particularly concerned whether they actually win it. In Division 1, it's almost a case of just if you stay up, isn't it? Really, that's the key to a lot of teams, isn't it?
Yeah, you always hear that bandied about, all right. But as a player, each and every player on all of them teams want to go and win every match to play in, and that's the reality of Gaelic games nowadays. And as a player, winning a National League title is very important. And when you look back in your career, and I'm fortunate enough to say that I've been lucky enough to win a National League title, it's certainly up there with the the top accolades that have won. And for all them players participating in Division 1, 2, 3 and 4 of National League, they'll be bell-handing and going to win the title, and not just accepting competing. I'm
going to lean across you here too, because I want to get another wee thing. Many National League titles you win?
Division 1 and Division 2.
Did you? Fair play, and one All-Ireland?
I'm
only sorry.
Are you getting the wee dig in here?
No, I'm only saying, very still. No, I'm only joking. No, me. No, we go back to no. Don't start that. The All Ireland Club Football. I want to get a wee mention about Dr. Crokes 11-10, St Vincent's 11-4, Ballinderry 10-3, and Castlebar 6-1. What do you think of those odds?
Yeah, well, Dr. Crokes are many people's favourite. They've been thereabouts the last couple of years, played in a couple of finals as well, and obviously they've got the Gooch in their ranks as well.
But they have the Gooch too, who's never been the Player of the Year.
Never been the Player of the Year, but maybe next year could be easier. You never know. But St Vincent's are a decent bet as well at 11-4. But I think Castlebar 6-1. Good outside bet. You have to remember that they beat the current All-Ireland champions, and at 6-1, they might be worth looking at. But certainly, I still think Ballinderry from Ulster have a good chance. I've been at a couple of the matches this year. Very impressive in their victory over Kilcoo in the Ulster semi-final.
I enjoyed that victory. They did well. Comprehensive victory, actually.
Very, very comprehensive victory. And in the Ulster final against Glenswilly, it took them a while to get into the game, but once they got control of the game, they were always comfortable. Had a difficult task last weekend in London, but certainly Ballinderry won't fear the fact that they're going to be playing St Vincent's, and it'll be an interesting battle, and a game where Ballinderry can certainly come out the right end of the result. So
you'd fancy him to beat Vincent's, and what about then? And obviously Crokes against Castlebar. Crokes with Gooch, who's never been the Player of the Year.
You've highlighted that once or twice.
No, but he hasn't been the Player of the Year because he hasn't been good enough to be Player of the Year. I think he was unfortunate last year not to be in the frame, because I thought he had a magnificent season last year and rolled back the clock. But I feel there's years that he wasn't the player. I know Kerry got a bit annoyed, but he wasn't the player because he wasn't good enough to be player of the year.
I think maybe on that there, what we're looking at is a bit of consistency across the board, and Gooch has put in spectacular individual performances in certain matches, and maybe across the year, it hasn't warranted a footballer of the year, but which is a surprise. But I look back at his performance last year in the All-Ireland semi-final, and that's as good a performance that I've ever seen at Croke Park. His vision and creativity alone, and the move out the centre half forward done him the world of good. And I think sometimes it can really take a player to the next level. And certainly last year, if the Gooch continues to perform at that level, he won't be far off.
No, but he is a quality player. Slagging apart, giving a wee bit of a dig from Tyrone, but what odds anyway? There you go. The All Ireland now. We're going to move now to the All Ireland Senior Football Championship, and I know it's the start of the year, and everybody thinks they've got a great opportunity. But I'm just going to go through a few of them here. Look, it's the usual suspects. It's Dublin's 15-8. Mayo 9-2, Kerry 11-2, Cork 7, Donegal 8, Tyrone 16, and then the nearest after that is Kildare 33-1. What do you think of those odds?
Yeah, well, once again, the one that jumps out at me is Cork at 7-1. Although they were beating the All Ireland under 21 final last year with Galway, I just don't think the players coming through will be as good as the players that have recently retired. So I wouldn't have them as high as 7-1. Donegal at 8-1. They'll be hurting a lot from last year. Can they bounce back? They certainly, have the big game experience over the last couple of years of playing and producing it. Tyrone still at 16-1 are value for me. They'll always be thereabouts come the later stages of the All Ireland. But I have to look at my own county, Armagh, 80-1. The Armagh.
I even have to pause it. 80-1. I can't believe some of the teams that are in front of Armagh.
Yeah, well, neither can I, if I'm totally honest. And they are playing a Cavan team in the first round of the championship in Armagh, who are 40-1. And Cavan are maybe 41 on the back of last year's performance and their run championship, which is fair enough. But Armagh against Cavan this year, I certainly believe will be a lot harder for Cavan to come out with the result. I'm not saying they won't win the match, but Armagh will push them all the way this year. And when you look at Down and Galway at 50-1 above them, I certainly believe that Armagh are as good or can certainly compete with these teams. So 80-1 would be a good outside bet for me, and quarter-finals, semi-final stage is certainly achievable for Armagh.
Right, we're going to stop flying at Armagh flags. We've enough trouble with flags nowadays. But anyway, they're 80-1. But Dublin 15-8. Is that your tip for the All Ireland again? Do you think they can retain it, which would be a marvellous achievement if they did?
Yeah, Dublin are the benchmark. They've set the standard over the last couple of years, and certainly last year they produced the goods in the National League and the All Ireland series. At 15-8, yes, they're rightly so. They are a lot of people's favourites, and they take a very good team to topple Dublin this year or next year. Who's capable of doing it? You have to look at Mayo, Kerry under day are certainly capable of doing it. I still believe Tyrone under day can beat Dublin as well, but at the minute Dublin are still above every other team in the county, and they're setting standards in terms of ability and fitness as well.
I'm sort of fed up with Mayo, but I know Mayo people got on my case last year, but
why was that?
Because Mayo promised so much and then deliver so little. And people think I was against Mayo. I'm not against Mayo. I have in-laws and outlaws from Mayo. You know what I mean? And I know what they're like. But look, even the reaction at All Ireland Day from Mayo people after they lost was, we lost the All Ireland for something.
I think players and fans alike, can be very frustrating to be from Mayo on occasions, but certainly, they're consistently getting to the finals, and the more they get the finals, someday they're going to eventually win one. And if that's all you can ask from a player's point of view, is that they keep pushing themselves to the limit to try to get there. And as I said, they were only beat last year by a point, and they are still an improving side, and they've got a fantastic manager in James Horn. So I still believe that he can maybe squeeze a wee bit more life out of this Mayo team, and they'll certainly be thereabouts this year again.
So would you put the two finalists, the winner of Dublin and Mayo, maybe as a dark horse? Would that be your choice, or whatever they got?
Mayo was a dark horse. I think a team that could surprise a lot of people this year would be Derry. 40-1 in the betting there. A team full of potential and talent, and big and strong as well, and can certainly mix it with the best. And Fergal Doherty back in the side this year as well, a good experience midfielder, and I think they could be a surprise package for a lot of people, and could go a long distance in the championship.
I'll ask you an easy one then before we've got a free bet here, obviously for Cash for Kids, courtesy of McLean's, which we always do for our guests. But I'll give you an easy one. Who's going to win the Ulster title?
The Ulster title will be, will be very difficult. Monaghan will be looking to win it for the second year in the trot. Donegal will be hurting a lot from their Ulster final appearance last year. As were Tyrone, they'll always be thereabouts. But I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with maybe a Donegal victory this year. I think Jim McGuinness and his troops will be hurting a lot. As I said, they have the big game experience. They'll want to get some titles under their belt, and that could be starting with an Ulster title. Well,
they're the favourites at 15-8, followed by Tyrone at 3-1, and then yourselves Armagh 6-1.
Yeah, well, that's surprising at 6-1 for Ulster and at 80-1 for the All Ireland.
Exactly.
And above.
Who's doing these odds?
Listen, as I say, and I say it every year, there's a lot of talent in Armagh, and it's a case of trying to gel that talent together and getting the best out of the teams. It hasn't happened for Armagh over the last couple of years, so based on that, I wouldn't be tipping them to win Ulster. But if you're basing it in the last couple of years, Donegal and Tyrone are going to be the two teams to beat in Ulster. So
it's just for summation: Donegal, Tyrone, the teams to beat in Ulster, and Mayo and Dublin, possibly the teams to win in the All Ireland series.
I think they're still the two key teams in the All Ireland stage, and with a few surprise teams maybe coming through the ranks and maybe being able to cause an upset as well.
It was interesting you mentioned Derry as well too. I think are a strong side as well too.
Yeah, I think Derry, potentially can cause an upset and get an extended run in the championship. And it all depends on how they go in Ulster early on. If they build up a bit of confidence, they'll be certainly a hard team to stop.